Well, I'm kind of regretting coming out here because it's very cold. Colder than I expected, and I had to grab my gloves, and these ones are not the warmest gloves. However, you know, fall colors are dying out, but this place is a vibe. Anyways, that's not exactly why I'm here. Of course, I will be getting some awesome photos and all that, but today, me and my friends Nicholas and Michael are going to take a photo and edit it in our different styles and kind of compare it. And this idea kind of came up when I just posted a photo of my friend Nathan on my Instagram, and my friend Nicholas was like, hey, you know, your editing style is very different from mine, and I think we should maybe do a video comparing our two different styles. And hey, that's what we're doing today. So, without any further ado, let's get back to my house where it's nice and warm, and we'll get into that. I'm a lot warmer now, so that's good. Let's get that nice lighting. Obviously, this is not where I normally film my videos. However, this is where I'll be editing the photo. So I'm gonna go first, then Nicholas will go next, and then Michael will edit the photo last. So let's just take a look at the raw photo by itself. It's a portrait of my friend Nathan. I was just taking it. I took a bunch of photos when I first got this camera like a few weeks ago, and that's where I took this photo. Is down by the river, and sun was setting. Very nice photos, and eye autofocus and all the stuff of the R6 was just phenomenal. So next is actually going in and editing this photo. So I'm going to open up this photo in Adobe Lightroom and do my personal style on the photo. So this is the original photo. Pretty good photo by itself. Obviously, in my opinion, there do need to be edits that need to be done, but we have a nice background blur separating the subject from the background. Shot at So this was actually shot on my Canon 50mm f1.8, like 1/160th of a second at ISO 400. So that's a portrait lens, kind of dedicated to portraits, and obviously it performs quite well. So the first thing I'm going to do to edit this is push the contrast up quite a bit. That's really pushing down the shadows and bringing a lot of attention to the subject's face. We already have a sense of a natural gradient at the bottom with the lighting circumstances, as well as a vignette that is kind of a part of that lens's look, especially when you're at 1.8. So that's really a good starting point, adding that contrast. The next thing I'm going to do is bring down the blacks ever so slightly in order to add a bit more contrast and maybe lift the highlights a bit. If I take the highlights down too much, they clip, even though this is a raw image, and it looks better overall in his face if I bring them up a bit. And I have a trick on my sleeve for making the highlights look a lot more pleasing, because this is a little too bright up here in the corner of the image. Next up, I'm going to push the clarity ever so slightly to get a bit more detail of the hair and all that, and we will take care of any skin blemishes after that in a little bit. And I'm going to bring the shadows up ever so slightly, and the whites up a bit more, and boom. So this is pretty much a great starting point, and for my personal style of contrasty, punchy looks, I think this looks great. However, we can take it to the next level. What I like to do is go into the color editor and take the greens and desaturate them. Obviously not too much, because then it looks kind of purplish, as if there's a tint to them. So what I want to do is bring it up so it's desaturated enough that the attention is not drawn to a vibrant background, because if you see, if I push the saturation in the background, yes, it's very vibrant, but it kind of takes attention away from the subject, so that's why I'm going to lower the saturation there. And I could mess around with the tint, however, I'm probably just going to leave it there for now. And now next, the yellow. I think the yellow looks fine and is a nice addition to the image. However, right there, as is pretty darn good. So pretty much that's all I'm gonna do to this image as of now. There isn't really any noise in the image, so actually I'm gonna bring the greens up just a little bit. There we go. So this is my basic edits of the image. So I'm gonna do a bit of dehaze. There we go, some dehazing on it. Looks pretty nice. So now what I'm going to do is go and open it up in Photoshop. Now it is open in Photoshop, and we have the image right here. So what I'm going to do now is diffuse the highlights. In order to get rid of this kind of distracting highlights in the corner, what I'm going to do is do select, and I'm going to go down and do color range, and basically this will just select the brightest parts of the image. I'm going to go down to highlights and do that. And I'm going to select the range to be around there. And then there. That way it's not really selecting any of his face. I'll click OK. And now I've kind of selected the brightest parts of the image, and now I'm going to do Control J to lift them up onto a new layer. Obviously, I'm not the best at Photoshop. I don't really know what I'm doing aside from when I do this. This is really the only reason I use Photoshop. But if I take away the first layer on the bottom, you can see I've kind of isolated the highlights into their own layer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Filter, and I'm going to put a Gaussian blur on it. So the Gaussian blur, I'm going to do a blur of 150 pixels. That kind of blooms the highlights out, so they're not as harsh and not as rugged. They kind of bloom out and create a sense of like a sort of like a smooth. They give the highlights a smooth roll off. So that's what I'm doing now. So now I'm back here in Lightroom. I did a little bit of a messing around with the yellow tint in order to bring out the colors in Nathan's skin. And now what I'm going to do is the spot removal brush. And really this is just, you can use this to get rid of any minor blemishes in the skin, like, I don't know, if you're having acne or something, you can use this and get rid of some things. I already did some things to this photo to get rid of a few minor things here and there, but for instance, let's take this little thing right there. That's literally a pore, but then it just kind of replaces it with something nearby. And there was a few other spots on this face that I just kind of removed the pores and other things that were standing out, and now you have a nice smooth face. So after putting it through Photoshop, this is the final image. We've got those diffused highlights up there, a nice smooth face right here, and a good natural gradient in the bottom. So yeah, that's about it. That's the photo. So let me know what you think of this one in the comments, and next we're going to go on to Nicholas and his edit of this photo.
Alright, so Rocco has asked me to edit this photo he took, kind of in my style, how I edit that sort of thing. So I'm going to do it. So I am using Luminar 3. It's one of my kind of 3 editing softwares I jump around between. I use Lightroom, that's more if I have bulk photos I have to do. I have Photoshop, which is more like, I like that for its healing brush and stuff like that. I might pop this photo over there, we'll see. And I have this one, which is kind of my favorite one for really just being able to do a lot just to one photo and just really diving in deep to each photo. So we are just going to start. So I'm just kind of looking at just how that's focused, general light stuff, just kind of looking at how my exposure is. So it is a generally darker photo, bumping it up just a little bit in exposure. Normally I don't like bumping them up too much because to me it can sometimes wash out images. We're going to counteract that by then bumping in a good bit of contrast. And already we're starting to just get a little more detail, a little bit more just oomph to this image. I love vibrant images, and so I'm really gonna work just to really bring up some vibrance in this image, really bring out a lot of color to this image. Hello. So I'm not a person who loves playing with the saturation. I generally find that saturation is fairly good, but I do love just bumping up the vibrancy of an image. I think this has really brought the skin color nicely. I am starting to see blues in the shirt that I'm probably going to want to dial down in a minute. We might come back to curves, we'll see if we need to. Yeah, so I'm now down here with my hue saturation luminance editor. So I think with those blues, I really am gonna just desaturate them just a little bit. Probably also gonna darken them down a little bit, just make them a little, not as much the focus, but I see those greens and those those yellows in the background. I think I actually really want to bump those up, so I'm actually gonna adjust that a little bit up here, just bumping my white balance slightly warmer. Just, yeah, I think about there. If we go too much, I think, yeah, it's probably good. Just really just warming up this image a lot. I think I really want to see if I can bring up some of those greens in the background. And so I'm gonna bump up some of my greens down here. A little bit less. Maybe a little bit more around there. Just really just make this image a lot more colorful. So if we're going to compare this, so we've definitely brought up a lot of color into this image already. So I think I'm going to come to the creative. I'm going to add this golden hour, bring it right up to here. Just tap it slightly. And what does it really just tries to like really just kind of artificially add in the golden hour effect, and just again just to hopefully warm up the image slightly, just brings in a little bit more color into this image, which I think it's done really nicely here. I also just love some of these creative ones, but I think my other favorite one is image radiance. I don't know how well it's going to work here, but I do just want to try playing around with it a little bit. So the great thing about image radiance is basically it's almost like a ambient contrast is almost the best way I can describe it. I am starting to notice that some of those highlights up there a little high, so I'm actually going to pull down some of those highlights just a tiny bit. I also am a person who loves putting vignettes on their images. I think that will help with a lot of this area up here. Normally when I'm editing, I realize that I will normally try and do kind of some more corrective features first. I realized I did not do that in this image, but that's not that big of a deal. We can always just pop in after to kind of clear up some of the acne and stuff like that. I love Luminar's vignette though, because you have a lot more control over it than you do in Lightroom. One of the most powerful parts about it is that I can really place the center of it, and so I can really focus it a lot more on his face here. I'm gonna do it about right there, and so it helps darken up some of the top and really just focuses in on his face. I generally tend to put in things too strong the first go around, then pull it back out. I do think that it's helpful and just really focuses on him. I think I did have that desire to, so up here, just making this pop a little less than I wanted to, or sorry, a little less than what it was, which is what I wanted. Some of those greens in the background might try lightening a little bit, just really see what we can get from it. All right, so I have this, and at this point, I'm going to take this image and I'm going to pop it into Photoshop to do some more kind of adjustments in there. All right, so we are now here in Photoshop, and there's not a terrible amount I want to do in this photo in here. I just want to clean up a little bit of the acne. People generally don't love to see their faces with acne on them when they're looking back at kind of well taken photos of them. So really just a few thoughts. I don't like going overboard with kind of spot healing brushes. I think there is definitely danger too, and I've made photos and I've looked back at them just like, that's very just processing this. You lose some of that natural look to the skin if you overuse it. I think that is really probably the extent of what I need to do to this image. I think that's all I have for this image. Rocco, thank you for letting me edit this photo of yours, and I'm curious to know how my editing differs from yours, and I think from Michael's. I think you said it was the third person who's doing it. I will be looking forward to seeing it.
Hi, my name is Michael. Rocco wanted me to edit the photo you see on the screen now, so I guess we'll just jump right into this in explaining how I edit my photos. That's what we'll be doing today. So the first thing I do is I look at the photo itself, analyze what is already there, and then think about what I want it to look like. Already I can tell that the shot is a little too cold, so what I'll do is I'll take the temperature and turn it up just a little bit, and I'll follow that with the tint in turning that up so that it's not too orange. Next thing I'll do is I will expose the picture more because the background is a little bit dark. Next thing I'll do is I'll turn up the contrast to help bring out any of the shadows and darker colors. I'll now turn down the highlights to help neutralize skin tones, and I'll turn up the shadows so that the background is not too dark. Next thing I'll do is I'll turn the whites down, again to help neutralize any shine on the subject's skin. Next thing I'll do is I'll turn the blacks up. That way the background isn't so dark. If you'll notice down here with the shadows, I turn it down and up, even just slightly, it changes what it looks like. Next thing we'll do is we'll go to the color tab, click advanced settings so that I can see everything here. And then I'm gonna turn the saturation up as well as the vibrance. The reason I do this is to help bring out all the colors in general so that I can individually play with them down here in the advanced settings. So what I'll do is I'm gonna start with the blue, which will help me with his shirt. I'll turn the blue down. Let me redo that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the saturation for the blue down as well as the luminance down. And I'm gonna turn the hue up. It slightly changes the colors. I'll do the same thing with the purple. Purple down, luminance down, and hue up. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mess with his skin tones. So I'm gonna come to the red tab, I'm gonna turn the red up and the luminance down, as well as the hue I will turn down. Next thing I'll do is I'll go to the orange tab, I'll take the saturation and I will turn that up. I'll take the luminance, turn that down, and I will turn the hue down. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the yellow tab and do the same thing. This one will help with his skin tones and the background some. I'm gonna turn the saturation of the yellow up, the luminance down. We'll turn the luminance up on this one, help give it a more golden look. And then I'll turn the hue down so that it gives the overall color of the picture a more yellow look. Next thing I'll do is I'll come to the greens and I'm gonna turn this one way down to kind of make the subject pop out more from the background. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the luminance for the green down, and then I'm gonna turn the hue for the green up. What this will do is it'll change the color of the background, see around his face, so that it's a more grayish color. I'm gonna do the same with this cyan color. Now we're gonna close the color tab and move down to the detail enhancer tab. You'll see we have sharpen, large details, medium details, and small details. The only three that we're gonna worry about for this video are the large, medium, and sharpen tabs. What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the large details and the medium details both up to 13, and then we're gonna sharpen it to double that amount, 26. What this will do is it'll make the image nice and sharp and nice and clear so that later if I decide to post it somewhere, it's not overly grainy due to compression. Now that we've done that, we're gonna come to the canvas tab and click erase. What we'll do with this, while it's preparing the layer, what we'll do is remove any blemishes or any acne from our subject's face, or if we need to, anything from the background. Now that we're here, we're gonna look at their face and we notice there's something on their chin, below their lip, and above their eyebrows. So what we'll do is click over this one, and this one, and then move down to the lip, where we'll draw over this one, and then move down to the chin, where we'll remove this one and this one. Now we'll zoom all the way back out, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna click the erase button right here. What this will do is that will remove any of the blemishes found on the person that I have marked. Now that it's finished removing them, we're going to zoom back in. That's the wrong thing. We're going to zoom back in. Notice that the one on the forehead is gone, lower lip is gone, and down below their lip is also gone. Now what we'll do is click Done, wait for it to create the new layer, and then what we'll do is we will click the Export button up here. We're going to click Export to Image. Got to make sure that the format is correct, the resize and normal and size is correct, and that the resolution is also the same. We want the quality all the way up. Now what I have to do is select the file that I want to send it to. Once I'm done with that, I just click Export. Now I wait for it to export, and then once it finishes, I'm completely done with this image. Now that the image has finished exporting, I am completely done with this and ready to do anything that I so desire with it. That's how I edit my images. Rocco, I don't know what order he's gonna put this in. For all I know, I could be last, and the next thing we're doing is finishing the video.
Okay, so let's kind of just talk about how the results were. After they edited the photos, they sent them back to me as well as their footage, and I compiled them into a little grid and put it on my Instagram story so people could vote for which one they liked better. Now obviously this isn't like, oh, this photo is definitely better than the other because more people voted for it, although there is a bit of, just for fun, that's what we did. And the results actually really surprised me, and I think they'll maybe surprise you, who knows. But also, I will be popping up the photos here in a second here, so you can see them in probably better resolution. But do be sure to drop a comment down below and tell us which one was your favorite. Anyways, now it's time to check how the results of the Instagram polls were. So, as of right now, the results are my picture got 8 votes. Nicholas's picture got 35 votes. Michael's picture got 16 votes, and the raw image got 1 vote. Shout out to the one person who voted for the raw photo. I put all 4 options up there because why not? And the annoying thing with the Instagram polls are, like, you can do like a 2 poll with 2 different questions, but this is like ask a question, like you have to set a right answer. There is no right answer, so it's just the really annoying thing of that. But Instagram didn't do too well with the compression of these photos because Nathan's face in these kind of got a little bit compressed, and the skin tones on my photo are definitely off. The skin tones on Michael's photo looks like it's like cheddar cheese. Nicholas has definitely done a great job with a crowd-pleasing photo, and honestly, these are 3 very different looks from the original raw photo, which you can see in the corner. So, it's very stylistic. Personally, I feel like I did the best thing for the person in the photo because the person in the photo voted for my edit. So, I think... Oh, whoops, I just clicked on a notification. Because the person in the photo voted for my edit. So say what you will, but I think as long as the client likes their photo, that's the good thing. Now, I definitely will probably have to figure out what's going on with the skin tones. I don't know if it looked different on my computer, so I don't know if it's like a color calibration issue. I'll definitely look into that. But however, yeah, these are the results. Let me know what you think. My edit, Nicholas's edit, and Michael's edit are all very different, but yet at the same time, they kind of show a reflection of our styles. Anyways, let me know if you'd like to see more of these kinds of videos in the future, and do be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, because, why not? And if you feel so inclined, you can follow me on Instagram, the link will be in the description, and that way you can vote in the next photo battle. I will also be linking Nicholas and Michael's Instagram below. Shout out to them, they helped a lot with this video. That's all for today. Like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, do whatever, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.